Okay, we are going to learn how to light garland. One of the first things to know is that the lights come out of this box that says GAR, 5 feet, GWWW. The GAR stands for Garland, and the lights are in 5-foot segments. So we're just going to pull out one. However, a garland uses 2 of these light strands. So when you first open your bag, you throw your trash away. The first thing you're going to have to do is take off the little green zip ties or whatever happens to be on there. And then we need to remove the white tags. It's very important that you do not clip the wires as you remove the white tags. Too often people are removing a white tag and they end up clipping it. So don't do that, it wastes time, money. Make sure that you take off the white tag before you actually decorate it. That way, for whatever reason you do end up clipping the wire, you haven't wasted 45 minutes to put the lights on and 45 minutes to take the lights off. We have to make sure our garland is prepped for the garland lights. This one has already been done. Rather than the garland being up like this, we've actually just taken the garland and laid it flat all the way around, as you can see, so that we have a backbone to work with. I call this the backbone of the garland. Everything is coming off this central running piece. So that's what we're going to be working with. What we're going to do is take our lights. We have 2 sets. We'll take the first set here, and we start with it about that far from the end, right where your first set of lights begins. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in right here and we're going to attach a zip tie and zip tie it around the backbone of the garland. So you can see it's going around that center spine point. And we have this much hanging off. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come halfway down the garland, and I'm going to take my second set and I'm going to tie it. And I'm actually going to zip tie in halfway down the garland. Now usually I have this on a single table, but for the purposes of a camera and being able to see, I've doubled it back on itself. But I can see this is about the midway point right here. So I'm going to take my garland and I'm going to zip tie right over the top of one of these plugs. And I will do the same thing on this other side. Zip tie over the top of the plug. Okay, you can see it's right over the top of the 2 different plugs. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to zip tie here on the end of this one. So my first 3 anchor points, and I'm going to give it this much of a lead. My first 3 anchor points are the 2 ends and the middle. And this garland lights, the set of garland lights, is much longer than the garland itself, and that's okay. We're going to end up using all of it. I'm going to take the center point, which is the transformer. I'm going to eyeball the center of the garland, and then I'm going to zip tie it on. And I'll do that on both sides. Where I eyeball the center is about right here. And I'm going to zip tie the lights on again, as so, right there. Now I'm going to add a few more zip ties. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up, and this is the center point again. And I'm going to I'm going to eyeball what is probably the center of this section from the last zip tie to this zip tie. And I'm going to zip tie in one more time. And I'll do that for each of these sections so that I have an even distribution on my lights. So I'm going to bring it up. Here's my center point. Come down and zip tie it in. And I'll do the same thing on this side, where I look at my center point, come down and zip tie it in. All that does is keep you from putting a bunch of lights in one section and then having to stretch to put a few lights in another to cover your entire garland. And then I have my last section here. I'm going to take and clip off all of my extra zip tie, and I'm going to clip, make sure you've got this side of the clippers, wire cutters, instead of this side. This side creates a nice flush cut. This side you have a groove. So I'm putting the flush side as right next to the zip tie as possible. Again, I'll put the flush side, if I can make this visible, the flush side up against the zip tie, like so. So now then I have to tie in the actual lights. And these lights are just 3 different sizes. They all run off a backbone, and they're just a strand of lights running off that backbone, essentially like your piece of garland. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna take this and you're gonna wrap it around one piece of greenery, wrap it a few times, and then you can come up, and at the end you're gonna wrap the greenery around the light, and then stand it up. So we'll do this again. I'm wrapping the lights around the greenery 2 times, and then I come up the greenery and I wrap the greenery around the light. And then I'm going to do it one more time with this one. I'm wrapping the greenery around, or the lights around the greenery, and then the greenery around the lights. Okay, so now I have finished putting the lights all along the garland. And as I started to state before, I want to make sure the lights go all the way around. So if I'm not able to put them on in a fashion they go all the way around to begin with, now that I have it finished, I'm going to make them go all the way around. And the easiest way to do that is actually to flip your garland upside down and start bringing some of these lights through so that we have a circular feel on our garland with the lights. Once again, we will always be decorating where the garland is decorated all the way around in a circle, and that way it can be hung from any side. We don't have to make sure that we're hanging one side up and the other side down. So I'll just go around bringing my lights up from the bottom, and then I'll be finished with this piece of garland.